Plahayatilikam, Emats. My name is Kalsalametsin, and I'm from the Tsleil-Waututh Nations in Burrard Inlet in North Vancouver. And I'm happy to be here. My name means killer whale. And I started weaving in 1995 when I moved to Campbell River with my husband, Bob. And there was a lady weaving, and my husband met her, and he said my wife would be very interested in learning weaving. And she said, oh, maybe your wife can help make cedar hats for a tribal journey for the Hamelco band. And I said, awesome, yes, I would love to. So I learned there. A lady come down from Alert Bay to teach, and also taught me how to collect my own cedar. And so the way you do it nowadays is you go to the forestry office and get a permit, a free permit, and you go to the cut block, and if they're going to fall the trees right away, you can strip the whole tree of cedar bark. But if they're not, then you can only take one strip of cedar from each tree within that cut block. And you take off the outer bark in the woods, and then you save the inner bark, you wind it up, and you pre-shrink it by drying it from 6 months to a year. And so you're always collecting for next year your stash. When you do start again, you wet the material and cut it into strips, width wide, but the depth wide, you have to do that all by hand. So if it's too thick, you have to use your hands and make it thinner. Then you wind it all up again and you store it until you're ready to weave. When I go to collect my cedar, I do have a ritual. I thank the tree. I pray to the Creator and thank the tree for its coat. And I always get emotional when I do it. And I thank the tree for giving up its coat. And I promise to make something beautiful with it. And it will last for hundreds of years. So that's my ritual. And I was given a hat form, and you can buy these hat forms too in town here. And I started making cedar hats, started making baskets, and we did a workshop down in Seattle there, and I saw a lady working with deer antlers. Well, I fell in love. They're beautiful, and the colors she was putting in them, and I love colors, so that's what I'm doing now. I use cane for the spokes, and then I use whatever I have. I use leather, cattail, grasses, copper. I like to put copper in. That's my signature. And hemp and cedar, red cedar, yellow cedar, dyed cedar. All natural products anyway. That's what I put in my baskets, and I just love doing it. I do cedar ornaments like for Christmas time. I'll do reindeer, frogs, fishes, and I make them into brooches or they hang on the Christmas tree. And I actually did a little angel for my tree. But with the antlers, every one is different because of the material that you're using and the shape of the antlers. So it's always a surprise, and I just love it when it's finished. I just get excited when I'm thinking of it. Because I never know what the end result is going to be. So there's anticipation and excitement. And I just never know what it's going to look like. But I know it's going to be beautiful because of the colors. And I love colors. So this is the antler here. I colored it blue. Yeah, and so they're all different colors and shapes. Yeah, no two are the same. And there's my copper here. I usually use a spoke as a copper spoke.
Is your process like deciding whether you're going to use, what the form of the basket or a hat, is that dictated by the material that you have on hand?
Yeah. Yes, it's dictated by the material, definitely. And I branched out a little bit by using stains on the antler, or I paint them like blue or white or gold or a lighter brown or a darker brown or black. And then the colors that I use, it's whatever I have on hand. It's always hunting and gathering for me, always, even on the beaches. I also know how to work with kelp.
Mm.
So I collect kelp and shells and things for embellishing. But it's not an easy process. There is so much to it because you're gathering all the time for next year and the year after. And you can only gather your cedar in the spring, which is important because that's when the sap first starts running. And that's when you collect it because it'll come off easily. Otherwise, you can't get it off the tree, and you can't take the outer bark from the inner bark off because I tried it. Impossible. They're glued together.
What is the time frame? About how long might it take, for a hat or a basket from start to finish?
Well, at least a year for a cedar hat.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go out and collect it and dry it to pre-shrink it. So that takes at least 6 months. And then you soak it and you cut it into strips. Then getting the form, cutting all the strips into lengths. You need long ones and you need medium size, and then you need small ones for the very end where it flares out to make it wider at the ends. And that takes a long time, at least a month for cutting everything all up and preparing it, and then making the hat. I can do it in 2 days, but it's all the prep work that takes at least half a year, up to a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all that work that it's kind of invisible,
Yeah,
but not
yeah,
to the maker.
right. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And roots. I did start out in working with fibers. Like when I lived in Castlegar, I did weaving with spinning and weaving wool and working with linen and cotton and the weaving part didn't take that long. It did take a few days, but again, it's the prep work,
Mm-hmm.
setting up the loom, gathering and spinning, and so when I got into the cedar, I went, oh, this is another working with the gathering first, processing.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This was so great to learn all about, your practice and your weaving and that really long process.
Thank you very much, Aichka.